But I want to go back to something because
What's wrong with you?
because I think I hit a nerve.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
No, I remember what you're saying, yes.
Do
I
you
agree.
deny that you were a spoiled brat when we were first married?
No, I'm saying in the way of what you're talking about, there's
What do you
different
mean?
ways to be spoiled.
Today we're talking about enabling and the challenges that it can bring within your family or really anywhere when you become an enabler. And so some of that reflects in your relationship with your spouse, or it can be with your children, or it could be with friends. There's a lot of different things. You had a story about that.
I did.
Should we define what enabling actually, what the dictionary says about enabling?
Because it was really about like helping versus enabling. There's a big difference. When people are enablers, it's hard. You think you're helping, but you're really not. So yes, it says helping is providing support in a healthy way, while enabling is providing support that unintentionally encourages or enables unhealthy behavior. So they're not doing it on purpose. An enabler, which I'm an enabler, and so you think you're helping, but really you're not. You're probably doing more damage in the long run that you just don't realize at the time. My mom was also an enabler, so when I was a kid, now we got married when I was 19, so I was still a kid, but she used to do everything for me. And I mean, I knew how to get my way and get her to do everything for me, but she would do everything, so I just I didn't know how to do anything when we got married and all that stuff, so I didn't have to learn how to do things on my own.
In other words, because your mom was such an enabler and didn't make you own responsibility and the things that you needed to do, which is a parent's role,
Right.
then you turned out to be a spoiled brat.
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, that was the beginning of our marriage.
Yeah.
You were a spoiled brat.
Okay.
No? You disagree?
In some ways, yes.
Should
In
we
that
go through?
kind of
Should we go
way,
through the beginning of our marriage?
I feel like in that way, yes, because she did everything. So I was
I know,
like, yeah.
I know, but
in
you
that
just
way, yes.
But you
I
just
agree.
took it personal.
No, I'm saying yes. I agree.
I just saw
I
it.
agree in that way. I just said. Anyway, and I became the same way with our kids, as far as I did the same things that my mom did with our kids growing up.
Okay. But I want to go back to something because
What's wrong with you?
I think I hit a nerve.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
No, I remember what you're saying. Yes.
Do
I
you
agree.
deny that you were a spoiled brat when we were first married?
No, I'm saying in the way of what you're talking about, there's
What do you
different
mean?
ways to be spoiled.
I mean, in
Like,
context of
yes,
our conversation.
Yes, with her doing I didn't have any responsibility.
You were a
to
spoiled
know how
brat
to do
because
anything.
your mom did everything for you and didn't teach you
Yes.
responsibility and role or anything like that. So when we got married, it was essentially this, you did nothing.
Right.
You did nothing while you stayed home, and I was working
Yes.
constantly to try to make ends
be
meet
responsible.
because we had nothing.
Yes.
And we're going more in
Exactly.
debt than we were going forward, or even we couldn't even cover the bills.
Right.
Didn't make enough to cover the bills. So
Yeah.
while I was away and you were home, taking care of our firstborn, you wouldn't do a thing.
No, I can't remember what I had a name for it at one point, but how I just literally, I felt like I'm not your maid, I'm not this, and not knowing that, I was 19, I was 20 years old, whatever, not knowing this is my responsibility, I'm the wife, I'm the mom, I get to stay home, you're working, and I just was sitting home, letting dishes pile up and do all that, because I just felt like it was a very selfish mentality.
Sounds like a spoiled brat to me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, but that was stemmed from the way that you were
Yeah.
raised, the way that your mom enabled you
Yeah.
and over pampered you in how she raised you.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I just wanted to clarify that point.
No, yeah, and I'm saying I wasn't overly, I pampered the girls a lot, but I wasn't like some.
Our girls.
Yes, our girls. As our oldest started having her own challenges and whatnot, she definitely had to grow up and learn responsibility faster than the others. But when they were little, I used to, and I know other moms, friends of mine that are very similar, but.
Are you shifting now?
No, I'm saying.
You shifting into somebody else?
No.
Others do it.
I'm saying it's a thing. Like I was just having a conversation recently with someone about this because they do
What was
the
it?
same
What
thing.
was the conversation?
About helping your kids out, like doing making sure, like helping them with their homework probably too much, and not making them really learn stuff because you want them to get it right, or you want them to get the right answers, or
what does that mean?
projects.
Like doing the homework for them?
Not really, like their projects. Remember, they would always have like projects when they were kids, and
You would do their projects.
That's what I'm saying. I would help do their projects to make sure that they got it done right, and it was whatever. And what it comes down to too, as I was studying this kind of stuff, is it's all about a control. It has to do with a control. And
yes.
Yeah, so, which I know, I have issues with that. So that was I was like, oh wow, it makes total sense, because it was trying to make sure I knew that they were going to get a good grade or whatever, because I helped make sure they were going to get a good grade.
Do you remember the conversations in that time with me?
No.
I do.
Remember you being there for a lot when they were little.
Well, I wasn't doing the projects. Yeah, that's not what I mean.
You actually did do a couple really good ones.
Well, but that was like we did it together,
Yes.
and they
so
obviously
cool.
didn't have some of the tools and stuff,
Yeah.
and that was fun. But that was rare. It was like spending a little time with them.
It wasn't the same. Yeah.
I remember telling you, you can't be doing their projects for them. What is the point? It's supposed to be their grade and what they're doing, yet an adult is doing it for them. Why are the teachers sending home these projects for the parents to do?
Well, because they were so in-depth and stuff, and I remember thinking, they're only in like third grade or something. Why are you sending these huge things home for them to do? But
most parents would do the same, I'm sure. They were all probably doing the same, not many of them, because you look at some of the projects and you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Really? A third grader did that?
Yeah.
But the point was, I mean, I understand the concept of you're spending time with your child, you're doing a project, but it was frustrating to me because they were extensive projects and you're sending this home for the kids to do at home. I mean, families got enough responsibility then to have the schools sending these big projects home for their parents to do. Like, now the parents get homework too.
Yeah, exactly. But then it was just in general, especially like with our oldest, like I said, going through challenges with her, and I would enable behavior quite a bit.
How?
Just in, I guess, not making her own up to what, like if I knew something, like there was a few times I caught her in different things and didn't own up to make her like admit it, or what, I would just kind of let it go when I know I should have said something, but it was just like letting her behavior continue when it's because she was always getting in trouble, and it was just stressful.
Was this to keep it from me?
No, I don't think I don't even know if I kept what I'm talking about to you. I don't think so. But
because I was the disciplinary.
Yes.
And you didn't take that role.
Right.
Because
no, I tried.
You were the
it just
enabler.
Was not, yes.
Really? I mean, if we're put in that context, that's exactly what happened if we're thinking about it.
Yeah. They didn't have the respect for me that they did for you, for sure.
Because they knew that, hey, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah.
When I say it, it's going to happen. You better count on that. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just, in the long run, that's what I'm saying, even with our other girls, they have, as they've gotten older, I mean, I've been amazed, because I remember one time thinking, like, having to make phone calls to set up whatever it could be, for when they moved out and had to set up their utilities and whatnot. I remember thinking, like, I'm so proud of them for just doing it, or like, I remember you.
I remember you too.
Not forcing, that's not the right word, because that sounds bad. With our second daughter, making her take responsibility and I can't remember what the phone calls and doing things to try and get her used to, okay, this is life. You got to learn how to do these things, and making sure that she started doing that to get comfortable and whatnot. That's what I never had, and so I always remember I hated having to make phone calls and do all that. I was
had
never
a strange
forced to,
fear of the phone.
Yeah, I never had to. I know it's so weird. I never had to do that kind of stuff, but the girls, making them do it gets them used to what life's going to be like. You have to have these responsibilities and be able to do these things, not have your mom do it for you all the time. Because I would.
It's really simple. If you don't make a point to teach your kids real things, real responsibilities, and put them in a place of pressure where they have to do like simple things like make phone calls, go into a public place, ask a question to an adult, or those little things, then they remain in this state of fear and are conditioned to be reliant upon you,
someone else,
even as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it could be like, this was a big thing for me, to going to the store and getting my own things sometimes. I hated doing that, because my mom always did it for me.
What do you mean?
So just anything, girl stuff, whatever, just having to go to the store and like, it was weird, but the girls had...
Like female products.
Yes, and the girls started doing that in their teenage years, because otherwise I would
Yeah,
just always
I'm like,
do it.
Just
And
do
it's
it.
like, just make
You
them
kidding
do
me?
it, you
You
know?
think there's not other females out there
I
who
know,
have to
it's
buy this
weird.
product? Why do you think it's on the shelf at Walgreens or any other
Yeah,
Walmart,
I
wherever
know.
you buy it?
It was a weird thing. So I would always just do it for them. It was easier, but as they got old enough and worked and whatever, they get their own stuff.
So there's two layers to this. One, in that it really, let me rephrase that. It's a great disservice to your child.
Right.
If you are enabling them and pampering them to a point where they never learn to be responsible for themselves or independent because mom or dad does everything for them.
Yeah. And that's what this says. It's unintentional. You're not purposely
Yeah.
doing it and realizing, like now, I totally realize what I did and how it was. And I did at the time, I didn't think a thing of it, you know?
So one of the greatest things that I've learned being, self-employed, an entrepreneur and, growing businesses and stuff like that is my daily task is to teach people, train, empower people. So really, I didn't learn this at the very beginning. This is something that comes in time. But the greatest freedom that I have is watching these people at the company succeed because they're capable, they're empowered. I could tell you a story about every one of them and where they went from point A to point B, and now it's like secondhand nature to them.
Yeah.
Some of them were the phone, intimidated
Yes,
to
that's
use the phone. Some of them were intimidated around conflict.
Yeah.
Or anything of that nature, just training them on a regular basis. And really, it's the same thing at home. So what it creates is freedom, independence, that these people can operate with a level of confidence, and it removes a lot of insecurities and stresses too, because when you're scared of that stuff, and it's fear,
Yeah,
it's all fear-based. When you're fearful of that kind of stuff, it really limits your potential, because you stay down here because it's the little
Because
things
everything's-
that you do every day that you're scared to do.
Right.
Until
So
you do it.
What do you say to someone who is an enabler on what are some steps to start being able to change that behavior? Like, what do you...
I think the very first step, if you're an enabler, is that you have to recognize it and own it. Because most people, what we struggled with is you didn't see yourself that
Right.
way.
No, I
I
didn't.
did, because we were like water and fire.
Yeah.
You're doing one thing and I'm doing the opposite, and,
Yeah,
and I'm seeing
counter.
what you're doing. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. Make them do that.
Yeah.
Make them do it. Make
can
them
do it.
do
They're
it. They can do
capable.
it.
Yeah.
And I always said, when you would kind of get in your mode of, complaining about the house role and the things that you do and raising the kids and all that, and me not being there. And I'm like, look, you got all these people. Your job is to
Yes,
manage
to
them,
make
not to do everything for them. Your job is not to do all their laundry, cook for them, clean for them, everything else. There's a time and a season,
Well, when they're little,
obviously,
yes.
when they're little. But once they reach a trainable age and a capable age of doing some things, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
So that's what I used to always battle in our conversation, and you know this.
Oh, yeah.
In that, look, you are the house manager. You are not the house slave.
Yeah.
You're the problem.
Oh, I know.
So any person who has that role, and I know, this is male and female who carry, sometimes are a stay home,
Yeah.
or some of them both work, and still
And you
yet,
really gotta-
then they come home, and if they're not allowing their kids to have some responsibilities, then they're basically a slave to their family.
Yeah.
And a family should be a family unit, which means, hey, we do life together, but we do responsibilities together as
Yeah.
well. And we struggled with that.
We did.
Because the two opposite, you and I had a totally different picture, but you didn't realize it. So I would say, number one, you have to realize
Yeah.
that you're an enabler. If you keep hearing this and you keep finding tension in your marriage or whatever else, then you're probably an enabler. Then at that point, you have to define, how do I make steps to stop this? What can I do to give my children or whoever it is that you're enabling responsibility or to take responsibility of their own actions, their own life, their own role, the things that they should be doing on their own. Obviously, if someone doesn't know how to do it,
Right.
you help them. You help them, not enable them.
Yes.
There's a big difference.
Yes, as I read.
What was the difference in the two?
Helping is giving support. So basically supporting, not doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel like the big difference is. Enablers do for everybody instead of helping them so they can do it on their own.
Yeah. So I have
that's
this.
the difference.
I have this friend. I love his stories. He tells me about him and his son, especially his firstborn. It cracks me up because he's like, I give him a deposit, and he's like, I don't know, 9, and he's saying, hey, man, go in the bank and make a deposit.
Oh my gosh,
He's
it's
like,
9?
I don't want to go in there. I don't want to do that. What am I supposed to say? He's like, hey man, I don't care. You just go in, you take that up there and you own it like you're the man. You say, I need to make a deposit.
Oh my gosh.
And so he's done this for years, and whenever he shares these stories, I just laugh. I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It is.
Because
Holy
he's
cow.
really,
That's really good.
it's a wonderful thing, a wonderful way that he's honing his son to be bold, daring, and
Not
to not be
scared.
afraid or intimidated of walking into whatever environment and doing what he needs to do or whatever his responsibility is, even if his responsibility is at the time, maybe his dad gave him a deposit. You walk in that bank and you make that deposit. So
That's funny.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Those are the things, the types of education that our children need, is to put them in the pressure pot of real life stuff to say, hey, you go do this. Why? Because you're going to have to do this a million times or more in your life. So why not start now
early.
where it builds confidence and you don't grow any intimidation of being around people or doing certain things later in life that you have to, attack now a whole bundle instead of just getting out of the way when you're a kid.
Yeah, that's so smart.
It's funny.
So smart, yeah.
It's funny. Now, there's one more thing that, I think when I look back, I recall there was a lot of contention that brought to our marriage from that because we were the opposite. I did not want to enable. I wanted to put the responsibility on them.
Yes.
We didn't, I don't subscribe to and that's just me, so to each his own. I don't subscribe to the whole allowance. We pay you to do a few things. I think, hey, you're part of the family unit. You're using that toilet, you can clean that toilet.
Yeah. You're living here,
you're
fed.
living here, we're feeding you, whatever else, you're part of the family unit. Now, if they need something and they're like, well, I don't have any money, to do anything, then of course we would help them in a certain context. But just to pay them, who's paying me to take the trash out, or who's paying me to cut the grass? Or nobody. Some things you just have to do. So that was our position. Again, to each his own.
Right.
But it was all an attempt to create self-sustaining children who are confident in their abilities. And I think at this point, we've done pretty good.
They are,
These girls are pretty level-headed, and they now take on responsibilities. They did have a lot of insecurities as far as their surroundings and stuff when they first stepped out into life and had to start taking on some stuff. But so that's pretty important.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I agree.
how do we close this one?
We close by saying the point of recognizing and taking steps to try and change your behavior and ask for help if you need help.
Yeah, there's no shame.
No, not at all.
There's no shame, and that's a good point because some people are like, well,
what do I do?
They're intimidated to ask for help.
Well, yeah.
Who do you ask for help?
Right.
That's important.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's different personalities. A stronger personality sometimes in your family is less apt to be an enabler than not.
Yeah.
So that's important. But identify it. Number one, identify whether you're enabling your kids or family, friends, whatever else. Then number two, you have to say, hey, how do I just be a helping hand to them and not somebody who's actually doing the task for them? And when you do that, first of all, in your marriage, in the context of your kids, it's a lot easier.
Totally.
There's a lot less contention in the marriage unit and in the home as a whole. Because the kids will start playing you.
Oh, yeah.
The kids will play you. Remember that? Yeah. So the kids will start then, they'll just say, well, let's ask mom on this one. Well, let's ask dad on that one. So they start playing you guys against each other because you're not on the same page and they know what they can get away with. And then I'm like, hey, why are the kids doing that? Mom said we could. Well, of course mom said you could. How come nobody said anything to me? Shouldn't that have been a mom and dad question? Well, mom said we could, that type of thing. And or if they know certain areas they've got me wrapped around their finger, they'll ask dad. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And then she's like, what? Why? So,
it happens.
It happens. It's good to be on the same page, though.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, recognize it and
Take steps to
get on the same team and put your kids under a little bit of pressure. They're not going to crack. They need some of it because it is fantastic for them. And when they step out of your house, man, they're so far ahead of most other kids just because of that one little thing that they had where you allowed them to take responsibility for their own actions and role. That's it.
Very important.
So, hey, I'm Shawn.
And I'm Kori.
And thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or thoughts on this, or you have some experience in here that you've dealt with, we love to hear some comments. It gives us good feedback and understanding, if how the conversation plays out. We'd love for you to join in.